I've been journaling for the past 12 years of my life, and since then I've written thousands of pages, which mainly consist of my reflections on the ideas that I found in books or my daily experiences. Recently I realized that I didn't fully know how I feel and what I think about things until I started journaling. There is a reason why all great artists and thinkers in history kept some kind of a journal, because it gives an opportunity to sit down for 15 minutes each day and reflect upon your inner life and how you actually feel about things that you learn or experience. In January edition of my newsletter, I shared this habit of mine and I received over 100 emails, which can be summarized in a single sentence as: I tried to start journaling, but the idea of blank page staring at me really put me off every time. In this video, I would like to share with you 3 techniques that I learned from Stoic philosophers that helped me to get into journaling. I think the fact that I'm practicing this for over a decade now proves that the ideas of Epictetus, Seneca, and of course the most famous Marcus Aurelius can be useful to you too. Before we'll continue with great Stoic philosophers, there are 2 things that I would like you to know before you'll begin with journaling. The first is that you should keep it a secret. Don't tell anyone when you start, neither to your partner nor to members of your family. It is like with romance. The feelings and passions intensify if they are kept in private. This actually reminds me of a quote by great Madeleine L'Engle, who said, "You want to write an honest and unpublishable journal that nobody reads, nobody but you." I think this summarizes what I say here, and actually the second thing is very connected to this. The mistake that many people make is that they treat journaling as documenting their lives. They write down what they've done each day, and over time it gets boring writing down about your day. Journaling is not about recording what happened in your day, but more about reflecting. It's not important at what time something happened to you. What's important, how you felt about it. So keep journaling as a conversation with a very good friend. It is a bit ironic to start advice on journaling with Epictetus, because Epictetus didn't leave any written record of his ideas. All we know about him comes from his student Arrian, who cared to compile all the wisdom of his teacher into a volume that we know right now as Discourses. But despite of this, Epictetus was a big proponent of self-reflection. Actually, Stoicism itself is all about self-reflection. Epictetus advised his students to begin their days with reflecting upon yesterday. And one of the ways that you can apply this technique, try to write down how you spent yesterday, the way you did, without any precise time. We don't need the precise hours of the activities or anything like that. Then right after that, write down how would you have preferred to spend yesterday. This is actually what got me into journaling, because it showed how I can transform my days. And the second advice comes from Seneca. In contrast to Epictetus, Seneca wrote his journals in the evening. He has a famous quote where he says, "When the light has been removed, I examine my entire day and go back over what I have done and said, hiding nothing from myself, passing nothing by." The Seneca's advice that helped me to get into journaling comes from his quotes, where he says, "We suffer more in our imagination than in reality." This advice helped me a lot with kind of coping with my anxiety. The way you can practice this is try to write down a thing that scares you or gives you anxiety. There are no rules here, but try to be very precise and again, keep it short. Russians have a proverb that says demons become less scary when they are described. This is what exactly Seneca is advising. Try to write down what you are scared of. And of course, the last but not least advice comes from Marcus Aurelius, the author of the most famous journal of all time, Meditations. Marcus used journaling for self-improvement himself. I've actually interviewed his biographer, Donald Robertson, who is a cognitive behavior psychotherapist, and Robertson, in his book How to Think Like a Roman Emperor, describes how Marcus used journaling in self-improvement. I'll add the link to my podcast in the description of this video. In this video, I would like to mention one technique that will really help you to get into journaling. It certainly helped me a decade ago. And Marcus calls this put your principles into words. One of the hardest things is to articulate to yourself what you actually want to become. Marcus Aurelius tells that we need to articulate the qualities that we wish to attain. Otherwise, they are very vague, very intangible. You articulate to yourself what you believe in, what are your values, and this is a bit difficult for me to describe to you. It is very private and only you know what you believe in, but try to find the highest ideals that you can imagine. The easiest way to do this is to imagine a hero of yours and try to write down what is it exactly in that person that you admire. Is it patience? Is it courage? Is it persistence? Is it prudence? It could be anything, and try to articulate what exactly you believe in. This technique is particularly useful when you're going through a difficult time, because when you read what you believe in, it gives you hope, it gives you strength to fight. And this is what Marcus Aurelius believed in himself. More often you'll write this, more often you'll kind of refine the idea of what you believe in, what are your principles. It will give you a certain perspective in life. I would love to know if your favorite artists or thinkers kept journals. For example, some of my favorite ones are Eugène Delacroix's journals. It is an incredible journey through his artistic development. I love diaries of Virginia Woolf. I've also enjoyed the diaries of a Danish philosopher whose name I'm going to mispronounce, Søren Kierkegaard. I love Ralph Waldo Emerson and of course Thoreau. I hope this video will be useful and will get you into journaling as it did to me back a decade ago. You can find more of what I do on the website, which I'll link in the description. I have a podcast where I interview authors, artists, musicians, and of course, feel free to send me an email or leave a comment down below. See you in the next one.